Imagine a society where people live in constant fear. Fear of being targeted, fear of being attacked, not because of something they did, but because of who they are. This is the reality for many victims of hate crimes. Hate crimes are not just crimes against individuals, they are attacks on entire communities. They are fueled by prejudice, ignorance, and a chilling lack of empathy. These acts of violence leave lasting scars, both physical and emotional, on individuals, families, and society as a whole. Understanding hate crimes requires more than just looking at statistics. It demands that we delve into the twisted psychology of the perpetrators. We must examine the social conditions that breed intolerance, and we must work tirelessly to create a world where such acts of hatred are unthinkable. The journey to combating hate crimes begins with understanding. By shedding light on the motivations, the impact, and the potential solutions, we can move towards a future where everyone feels safe and respected. What drives a person to commit an act of hate? The answer is complex and multifaceted, often rooted in a toxic mix of psychological factors. Prejudice, the harboring of negative attitudes and beliefs about a particular group, forms the foundation. This prejudice can stem from deeply ingrained stereotypes, passed down through generations or fueled by misinformation and fear-mongering.
Discrimination, the behavioral manifestation of prejudice, further reinforces these negative views. It creates a sense of us versus them, dehumanizing the targeted group and making it easier to justify acts of hatred. But prejudice and discrimination alone do not fully explain the leap to violence. Often, perpetrators of hate crimes suffer from underlying psychological issues. Low self-esteem, feelings of inadequacy, and a need for power and control can contribute to their aggression. They may seek a sense of belonging and identity by aligning themselves with extremist groups or ideologies that validate their hatred.
Hate is rarely an isolated phenomenon. It festers in environments where prejudice and bias are normalized and tolerated. Social and economic inequalities, political rhetoric that demonizes certain groups, and a lack of positive intergroup contact can all contribute to a climate of intolerance. The internet and social media have become breeding grounds for hate speech and online radicalization. Extremist groups exploit these platforms to spread propaganda, recruit members, and incite violence. The anonymity of the online world can embolden individuals to express hatred they might otherwise keep hidden. Addressing hate crimes requires tackling the root causes of prejudice and discrimination. This includes promoting social justice, challenging stereotypes, and fostering empathy and understanding between different communities. The impact of hate crimes on victims is profound and long-lasting. Beyond the physical injuries, victims often suffer from severe emotional and psychological trauma. The feeling of being targeted simply for who they are can be deeply unsettling and leave them feeling vulnerable, isolated, and afraid.
Many victims experience post-traumatic stress disorder, characterized by flashbacks, nightmares, anxiety, and hypervigilance. They may withdraw from social situations, struggle to trust others, and live in constant fear of another attack. The trauma of hate crimes can also have a devastating impact on victims' families and loved ones. They may experience secondary trauma, feeling helpless and angry at their inability to protect their loved one. The emotional strain can put a significant strain on relationships and family dynamics.
Section 5. Ripple Effects, Trauma and Fear in the Community. The impact of hate crimes extends far beyond the immediate victims, sending shockwaves of fear and anxiety through entire communities.
When someone is targeted because of their race, religion, sexual orientation, or other protected characteristic, it creates a climate of fear and mistrust. Members of the targeted group may feel vulnerable and unsafe, constantly looking over their shoulder and wondering if they could be the next target. They may avoid certain public spaces, limit their self-expression, or even consider moving away to feel safer. This sense of fear and insecurity can have a chilling effect on community cohesion and social fabric. It can lead to increased polarization, suspicion, and a breakdown of trust between different groups.
Section 6. The law's response, punishing hate, seeking justice. Legal systems around the world have recognized the unique severity of hate crimes and have enacted laws to address them.
Hate crime laws typically enhance penalties for criminal offences when it can be proven that the victim was targeted based on their membership in a protected group. These laws serve several important purposes. Firstly, they send a clear message that society condemns such acts of hatred and intolerance. Secondly, they provide a means of holding perpetrators accountable for the full extent of their crimes. And thirdly, they aim to deter future hate crimes by increasing the risks associated with such behavior. However, prosecuting hate crimes can be challenging. Proving that an offender was motivated by bias requires gathering sufficient evidence of their prejudice, which can be difficult to establish. Victims may also be reluctant to come forward due to fear of retaliation, distrust of the justice system, or a desire to avoid reliving the trauma.
Section 7. Beyond Punishment, Rehabilitation, and the Long Road to Change. While punishment is a necessary component of addressing hate crimes, it is not sufficient on its own. True justice requires a commitment to rehabilitation, addressing the root causes of hate and helping perpetrators break free from the cycle of prejudice and violence.
Rehabilitation programs for perpetrators of hate crimes often involve a combination of approaches, including cognitive behavioral therapy to identify and challenge distorted thinking patterns, biases, and prejudices, anger management to develop healthy coping mechanisms for anger and frustration, restorative justice programs to facilitate dialogue and understanding between perpetrators and victims or affected communities, and educational programs to promote tolerance, empathy, and respect for diversity. The effectiveness of rehabilitation programs depends on various factors, including the perpetrator's willingness to change, the quality of the program, and the support system available to them upon release.
Section 8. Prevention over prosecution, building a culture of tolerance. While legal and rehabilitative measures are crucial, preventing hate crimes before they occur is equally vital. This requires a multifaceted approach that addresses the underlying social and cultural factors that contribute to prejudice and intolerance.
Education plays a pivotal role in prevention. By teaching children and young people about different cultures, religions, and lifestyles, we can foster empathy, understanding, and respect for diversity. Schools can incorporate inclusive curricula, promote intergroup dialogue, and address bullying and discrimination effectively. The media has a responsibility to avoid perpetuating harmful stereotypes and to promote balanced and accurate reporting on different communities. Positive portrayals of marginalized groups can help challenge prejudices and promote inclusivity.
Section 9. Education, the antidote to ignorance and fear. Education stands as the first line of defense against the ignorance that fuels hate. By equipping individuals with knowledge and understanding, we chip away at the foundation of prejudice and fear. Comprehensive education about different cultures, religions, sexual orientations, and other identities is essential. This education should go beyond textbooks, incorporating personal stories, interactive activities, and open dialogues that foster empathy and challenge stereotypes. Critically evaluating media and information is crucial in today's digital age. Teaching media literacy skills empowers individuals to recognize bias, propaganda, and misinformation, preventing them from falling prey to hateful ideologies. Section 10. The role of empathy. Bridging divides, healing wounds. Empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, is a potent antidote to hate. When we can step into someone else's shoes and see the world through their eyes, it becomes far more difficult to harbor prejudice and hatred. Encouraging empathy requires fostering meaningful interactions between people from different backgrounds. Intergroup dialogue sessions, community events, and collaborative projects can help break down barriers, build relationships, and foster understanding. Sharing personal stories and experiences can be particularly powerful in cultivating empathy. Hearing firsthand accounts of discrimination and prejudice can humanize the impact of hate and challenge preconceived notions. Section 11. Conclusion, a call to action, our shared responsibility. Combating hate crimes is not just the responsibility of law enforcement or governments. It is a collective societal obligation. Each of us has a role to play in creating a world where everyone feels safe and respected, regardless of their background or beliefs. We must challenge prejudice and discrimination whenever and wherever we encounter it. Silence is complicity. Speaking out against hate speech, supporting victims, and promoting inclusivity in our communities are essential acts of resistance. Let us build a world where hate is not a headline but a distant memory, a world where diversity is celebrated and everyone feels a sense of belonging and security. This is a future worth fighting for, a future we can achieve together. Subscribe and don't forget to take care of yourselves. Goodbye.